Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Shapristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nityananda. Hare Krishna. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini Nityananda Namastubhyam Premananda Pradani Hello Kalmashmasaya Chanuvakapeno Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Prabhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauritase Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we welcome everyone for today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we are discussing from chapter 2, verse number 58 we discussed yesterday. Yada samarate chayam purva angani va sarvachaha indriyani indriyarthebhyas tasya prajna pratisthita. So this was we discussed yesterday. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as the tortoise draws its limbs within the cell is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So, so although a person who is situated in perfect form of Krishna consciousness, he is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects when it is not required. But practically speaking, this is not so easy thing. Uh, so that's why Lord Krishna, in today's verse, he is going to explain how the senses are so powerful, even though artificially one may refrain from sense enjoyment, but still the taste for sense enjoyment remains, and that's why a transcendentalist uh, fall down again and again. So this will be stated in this particular verse number 59. But there is no hopelessness. In the next verse, uh, these two verses, and then finally after three verses, Lord Krishna will explain how one can situate himself properly in this particular verse. Yes, Param Drishyani Vartate. But although this is a fact that even though a person who is very much serious and desiring to advance in Krishna consciousness may refrain artificially his senses from sense enjoyment, but still Maya is so powerful and is so uncontrolled that even a person who has complete knowledge, he may also sometimes fall down again. But there is one thing doing which uh, the person never falls down again. So these two things will be covered in this particular verse. Vishaya vinivartante daharasya dehina rasvarjam rasvapiyasya param drishtva nivartate. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But seizing such engagements by experiencing higher taste is fixed in consciousness. So in the previous verse, Lord Krishna explained the symptom of a person whose consciousness is completely fixed in transcendence. What is the symptom? He can withdraw his senses as per his desire or as per his requirement. He can use his senses in the service, and if not required, if there is any danger or if there is any alarming situation, here where the person may fall down into Maya, so he immediately restricts the senses. He can immediately withdraw the senses from those sensual activities, sense enjoyment, and he can withdraw like a tortoise. Tortoise, I gave this example. But simply imitating this activity may not work for a person who is not actually situated in that transcendental platform. So we should always remember here in these verses, Lord Krishna is discussing about the symptoms of a person who is situated in transcendental realization. What is that transcendental realization? That is the Krishna consciousness realization. Person who is actually realized, who has actually realized Krishna in his consciousness. The symptoms of such a person is being explained in these verses, but it may not be necessarily true that a person who may be able to exhibit those symptoms apparently or for the time being artificially, practicing artificially, may not be necessarily be situated in that transcendental position. That's why, in order to warn us that instead of just uh, uh, means focusing on symptoms, we should rather focus on developing the true sense of transcendental realization of Krishna consciousness. Because that's why the Lord Krishna, this verse he says, Vitaya Vinivartante. Although there are many uh, transcendentalists who are on the path of transcendental realization, so because they undergo severe austerity and they understand Vedic knowledge, that activities of sense gratification is not at all suitable for the living entity. It only results into miserable situation. So such a person, after understanding this, that activities of sense gratification results only in miserable situation, may try artificially to restrict the sense gratification activity by by artificially trying it. That this is what is known as Vishaya Vinivartante. Nivartante is just for sense enjoyment. It is practice to be refrained from. Niraharasya. Niraharasya means negative restriction. Ahar means the food. Here it refers to feeding senses. Niraharasya means not feeding the senses. So a person, because of knowledge or because of experience, a person may refrain from sense enjoyment, understanding very well that it will only lead a miserable situation. Viraharasya. So he may refrain negative restriction, but simply refraining, simply putting restrictions, uh, doesn't destroy the taste, the previous taste. So it is so, what you say, uh, it's so entangling that although the activities of sense enjoyment certainly leads towards miserable situation, that is a fact, means which is revealed in the scriptures as well. And anyone who has undergone such activities of sense enjoyment certainly experienced this in his life. But this is also a fact. And at the same time, one who has engaged himself in the activities of sense enjoyment, she she gets certain kind of taste, because of which that particular taste attracts the person again and again towards fulfillment of those sense gratificatory desires. And in this way, he is forcefully, unwillingly, and even though understanding that I'm going to get uh, into miserable situation, it's still the taste, that impulsive taste is so strong that it drags the person practically with force, with great force. And that's why Lord Krishna is saying, Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina ras varjam raso apiyasya. Although he is artificially giving up activity of sense enjoyment, ras varjam, he is giving up the gross taste for self gratification, but raso apiyasya, ras is there in the mind, the impression, the taste of self gratification remains. That's why he again falls down. But only the best, what is the best way how to completely become free from tendency to enjoy self gratification? Param drishtva nivartate. This is the solution of Krishna is telling. Param drishtva nivartate. Param drishtva nivartate means, param means far superior thing. Drishtva means after experiencing, when one experiences. Nivartate, then he ceases from all sense enjoyment. So, two things are there in this particular verse, which has to be focused. That even though one may refrain from sense enjoyment, but the taste of those sense gratificatory activity will force the person again and again. One may be able to temporarily means avoid the act of sense enjoyment, but one in the long run cannot. How long one can restrict oneself? As soon as possible. It's like just like somebody has developed some grudges for somebody, and because of that, there is a lot of anger within. So how long one can restrict his words to come out for few days, few months, few years, but as soon as there is an opportunity, immediately he will burst out. He will immediately just start doing, abusing and smiting him more than what he would have done earlier. This is the force. Similarly, his activities of sense restriction, restricting sense gratification activity, that's like this. Because the taste remains, more one restricts, the longer period one restricts, forcer it becomes, means it becomes more forceful. Uh, that's why Krishna is giving the best solution. If at all somebody wants to uh, become, means wants to get rid of activities of sense gratification altogether, with no possibility of again getting entangled into it. So the best solution is one should put his endeavor in developing Krishna consciousness. That is the meaning of Param Drishtva. When one uh, experiences higher taste, this is spiritual taste. And what is this Krishna consciousness? This Krishna consciousness is that the taste which one gets in serving Krishna. In through service, when one experiences attributes of the Supreme Lord, then he is able to give up those lower tastes. This is the only solution. So although we practice refrain from sense enjoyment, that's true. But the purpose why we follow strictly four regulatory principles, the purpose why we refrain our senses from being entangled into sense gratification activity is to free ourselves from those nonsense things so that we can engage ourselves in service of Krishna. Uh, But the act itself, restricting the senses from sense enjoyment itself is not the permanent solution. It's not the ultimate goal. And a person who is able to strictly follow certain rules and regulations of restricting senses from sense enjoyment cannot be considered to achieve complete form of perfection. If he is not, if he has not um, made the ultimate goal to become attached to Krishna. So you should always remember, sometimes this is seen among devotees also. Uh, those devotees, when we come in association of devotees, so after some time, we are able to control our senses, at least grossly. It's easy to follow strictly four relative principles when we are in the association of devotees. So, but sometimes devotees, they become casual. They do not put in labor in developing their attachment for Krishna, or they do not put in labor to serve Krishna. So in general, it has been experienced as that in the beginning stages, those devotees who struggle to control their senses, so they become very humble, and they humbly approach devotees, and they become eager to serve Krishna. But as they progress ahead and they are able to somewhat control their mind and senses, they are able to follow strictly four regulative principles, then it is seen that they become casual, putting effort and developing taste in Krishna consciousness, which is actually dangerous because Maya is so powerful. We may be able to restrict the objects of the senses for time being, for few years, or maybe for a few decades also. But if one has not put sufficient endeavor, effort for developing taste for Krishna's service, taste for chanting of the holy name of Krishna, then there is every possibility that even after a few years or after a few decades, he may again become entangled in substance enchantment. This is so powerful because the taste remains. Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina. That's a virgin rapyasya. Krishna is clearly explaining, though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, even for few years or few decades, the taste for sense objects remains. And this is also applicable for those devotees who might not have broken any of the regulative principles in this life, but because we are in this material world, so we have already done all kinds of sense enjoyment in our previous births. So all those tastes are still there within our heart, because mind is the storehouse of all the impressions, all the feelings and impressions which we have undergone through many millions of births. Mhm. So all those tastes, impressions are already there within the heart. So maybe it may be possible that in this life, for few decades, because we were protected or we didn't get the chance to experience those kinds of sense enjoyment, but that does not make any difference because the taste is there. As soon as the opportunity will arise, immediately the mind will tangle. So before, that's why the symptom of a serious devotee is that uh, she never she never wants to give a chance to get entangled into activities of sense enjoyment again, either in this birth or in the upcoming birth. Means one may be able to follow strictly in this group, but still there will be chance to get entangled. So a devotee should be very serious. Any alarming situation, he should become very cautious. And the best way is that before before the opportunity for sense enjoyment or opportunity to get entangled into Maya comes, we should make firm determination that in this very birth, I will finish the business of developing full Krishna consciousness. That should be our determination. So uh, conclusion of this verse, especially the last line of this verse, is very important. Param Drishtu Anivartate means our focus, our goal should always be we should make full effort how to become fully attached to Krishna as early as possible. Because till the time we are not fully attached to Krishna, there will always be the possibility of falling down again. into the activities of self-enjoyment because Maya is very powerful. So such a devotee, it means we should, uh, if we at all want to, become firmly situated in Krishna consciousness, so we should take this if activity of chanting the holy name of Krishna very seriously. It's a very serious business, especially especially as long as we have very healthy body, when our mind is not so much disturbed because of thoughts of sense enjoyment. So these these time, that particular time is very precious for us because uh, those time we can actually put more in endeavor. Just like right now, I'm admitted in the hospital. Health is not so good. So even if I desire that I should chant more and more, it's not possible practically. That's why I don't have this experience. Many times I become sick. So as soon as I become recovered with my health, I immediately take this resolution. But now I am healthy, so I must utilize it to the full capacity. Generally, uh, uh, what you say, uh, the habit of a person or habit of a devotee is that when somebody is comfortable, then they do not think much about preparing and elevating themselves. Uh, जब जब स्थिति खराब होती है तब लोग सीरियस बनना चाहते हैं जब स्थिति खराब है then it's become very difficult to become very serious in Krishna consciousness. Just like किसी के जीवन में बहुत तकलीफ आ जाए या either physically or mentally, then it is bit difficult at that time to focus more on Krishna consciousness. But when the time when we are physically healthy and mentally not so disturbed, although mental disturbances are always there, but not so mentally disturbed, not so much harassed by desires for sense gratification. At least we are able to control our mind and say, okay, this is not good. I shall not act like this. If we are able to do this, so that time is very precious for us, and we should put a great endeavor to develop full taste in chanting the holy name of Krishna, because this is the only way, if we can, by putting some effort, some endeavor, by any means, if we can develop a taste for chanting the holy name of Krishna, then this Param Drishtva is guaranteed. One can experience, one can realize Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes, and even a little bit realization of Krishna consciousness in true sense will enable the person to become completely free from all the these tendencies for sense gratification. So powerful. Okay. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Tomorrow also we'll discuss something more about this verse with in after reading the purport. Okay. Hare Krishna. So do you have any question? I hope you were able to hear properly and understand. How many of you heard the entire lecture properly? Understood it? Please raise your hand.